Out with the old, oh, and in with the new. The Nordic back extension machine V2. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Is it worth it to have it in your home gym? What's up everyone, David here. Got a new video for y'all today, but before we get into it, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any new videos. Because remember, new videos on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So don't miss out right here. New and improved machine. In all my previous videos, I'm pretty sure you've all seen me do the same exercise, back extensions on the same $40 cheap back extension machine that I saw on a yard sale. That lasted me a good couple of years. 4 years, plenty of hamstring gains, plenty of glute strength gains, but you know, it's time to evolve. The Tib Guy, go ahead and check out that page, check out the equipment they have. So kind to them, send me new machine right here, an upgraded version of what I essentially already had, but it's got its perks. There's so many different exercises that you can do on this. Marketed as 4-in-1, but with a little creativity, you can go even more so. The amount of exercises I can do on here for the posterior chain is endless. I'm talking about the Tib Guy Nordic hamstring curl machine V2 version 2. I'm telling you, this one will be a game changer when it comes to having results, having variety, having new equipment in your home gym. They sent it to me, said, hey David, give us an honest review. I asked, how honest? Because you know, I'm not gonna hold back. They said, just give us an honest review. What do you like, what you don't like, what can be used for improvements, what would you recommend? So with that being said, went ahead, threw this in this past week's workouts, got plenty of different exercises, got a good feel for it. I am by no means a beginner when it comes to working out, so I'm going to be pushing hard when it comes to these exercises. I'm not going to be going easy. I actually want to know, how is this going to withstand the type of gains I'm going to be putting it through? So after a couple days putting it through the test, seeing how it held up, here are my honest opinions. So first off, assembly. This entire machine, broke it up into pieces, came in this one big box. And from my personal experience from doing a couple reviews and getting some pieces of equipment in the past, the more boxes, the bigger the boxes, the more difficult the assembly is gonna be. So when I saw how big this box is, I already knew this was gonna be super easy. My dad and I put this machine together, the both of us realistically taking our time. There was no rush. Took maybe 30, 40 minutes. If you were to do it by yourself, it's not going to take that long, maybe an hour at most. There's not that many pieces. The instructions are clear. Hardware, not that bad. Instructions perfectly laid out. So again, assembly wasn't that hard by any means. The machine itself, super sturdy. There's been some times in the past where they don't send the right hardware. I'm missing a couple bolts, a couple nuts, a couple washers. Everything came exactly as needed. None of the pieces were damaged during the actual delivery. Nothing's dented. Everything was put together perfectly. You don't have to worry about any of the holes not lining up, any of the pieces being bent, and really having to wedge it in there, adding some WD-40 so pieces slide in together. Absolutely no concerns whatsoever when it comes to the setup. Again, if it takes you longer than an hour, you're probably really taking your time or tightening everything by hand. Go ahead and get some power tools. Make your life easier. Now, after building it, you obviously want to expect the hardware and the quality of the machine itself. Everything nice and thick, sturdy. This is definitely has held up and will continue to hold up any workout I put it through. I mean, if we're talking about the pads on their own, they're super thick. They don't have a lot of give, so it's not like you're going to be feeling the wooden pad underneath. Your knees are going to be nice and cushioned. Your hips are going to be nice and protected. The pad is definitely high quality. It's definitely wide. That's one of the better things that I like. I've been on back extension machines. I've been on very other pieces of equipment where it's so narrow. The pad is not that thick, so right when you get on it, it sinks down and essentially you feel the wooden pad that the actual padding is on top, and it's just super uncomfortable. This one, perfect. Got two different pads on here for back support, hamstring support, whatever exercise depending on what it is that you're doing. As far as the foot rollers, this pad is even more dense. There is no way you're sinking into it, but it's still comfortable. It's not like you're sitting your shins or your feet on top of a rock. Definitely a good amount of padding, a good amount of cushion, just the right amount of give. Comfortable, no complaints whatsoever. The foot pad back here to actually rest your foot flat up against, not that bad. Again, it does the job. It's a flat piece of metal. The actual part right here that adjusts depending on how big your foot is. Obviously, if you got smaller feet, thinner ankles, you're gonna have to be lowering it. If you got bigger feet, bigger ankles, easy. Pull the knob, bring it back up. Just be careful not to pull it all the way up because this will disconnect, but that's actually intentional because this pad right here can move from back here to up here in the front, depending on what exercise you do, which we'll get to in a bit, all the different exercises that you can do. So switching it out, super easy. The pins, they slide in and out. Just make sure that when you secure it, you hear that snapping noise, make sure it's locked into place. Again, no complaints whatsoever about those two pins, the rollers, nothing. The biggest pivot point is actually underneath. There's going to be a knob back here. Pull it just how you would with the foot roller and then lift up the machine. And there's just so many different levels of incline that you can put this thing. They range in different levels of 5-degree differences, all the way from 20 degrees, 25, 30, 35, 40, and 45. What I like about it too is, you know, some people, they overdo it. There's actually an X right underneath the 45-degree mark to let you know, hey, stop, don't go. Because if you continue going, this entire piece will just essentially slide out. So depending on what exercise you do, depending on what your comfort level is, you could always adjust the various different degrees that you want. Now, if you want to put this completely flat, you can obviously pull the pin all the way down and then just set it down on the ground. No big deal. But if you want just a little something off the ground, because right here, the handlebars are actually touching the floor. If that's a little too low for you, you don't want to damage the handlebars. All right, easy fix. Right here, there's one little pad or little moving piece. I don't even know what to call this, but you can set that down and it will actually act as a brace right before you hit the ground. Boom, and it actually locks into the little sockets that it has right there. So you see, it's not completely onto the floor. That's a 10-degree elevation, so the handles don't take any damage. Again, no complaints there whatsoever. Super smooth, super easy to assemble. Now, as far as the actual pads moving up and down, because, you know, obviously everyone's a different height. Myself, 5'9", 5'10" on a good day. When I do my back extensions, I'm gonna need this to go a little lower. But this piece cannot go lower until you move this piece back here. So to move it, boom, unlock, slide it out. You can set that aside, do with it as you please. And now I got plenty of room to move this upper pad down for exercises such as back extensions. Easy fix. All I gotta do here, pull this pin and then just, you know, wedge it down there. Watch your hand, make sure you don't, you know, squish your hand back there. And then again, depending on your height, that's how high or how low you'll want it. Just make sure whatever setting you put it on, you hear that click. If you do not hear the click, boom, right there, it's not gonna be locked into place. And then once you lean on it, you lose your balance and then it slides down, whatever may happen. Just avoid the injury, just be safe about it. Last part that moves, up here, this, and again, we'll get into more detail depending on the exercise that we'll do in a bit. Pin underneath here, that's what allows this piece to slide in and out. This one is going to be super handy when it comes to some of the exercises for the legs, specifically for the quads. Slides up and down, depending on whatever level you want. Just make sure you hear that clicking noise. Make sure it's locked into place. So overall, very well built, very easy to build. I can't get over that. The quality of the welds, the quality of the metal, the pad, everything that goes into it, without a doubt, I know it will stand any workout I put it through. Since there's so much variety and so many different pieces that moves, that means there's so many different exercises you can do. Let's see how it stands up to that. First exercise I tested on this were back extensions. The reason why? Because that's what I do the most of. I already had a back extension machine, so I want to see how it would compare. A cheap $40 back extension machine that I got from someone's yard sale versus this. Now, to set it up for that exercise, there's a couple things you got to take into account. One, obviously, once you slide your feet in here, depending on how much room you need, you got to slide this piece up and down. Again, be careful, do not slide it all the way out. Whatever setting you put it on, just make sure that you hear that click, give it a little shake, make sure it's secured. The back extension machine will not be able to set up if you do not remove this pad. Again, there's two pads, the square looking one, not the one that has the notch in it, this one. There's a lever down here, a knob. Pull it, slide the whole thing out. Super easy, shouldn't be that complicated. Next, this is when it comes to personal preference. When it comes to your back extension machines, everyone's gonna like different levels of incline depending on how much of a stretch they want on their hamstrings, how much they want to feel more on their glutes. Again, the level of incline you put for the exercise, it really is just up to you. All you gotta do is just pull the pin and then lift it up. And there's just so many different levels that you can put it on. Again, the increments of degrees of incline go up 5 5s. For me personally, I usually tend to stick right around right there. So it's just right under the 30-degree mark, okay? But since I'm a little vertically challenged, I'm not that tall, this piece needs to slide down. And that is the whole reason why we removed this pad down here, so we have room for this pad to slide down. Go ahead, pull the pin, and then slide. Now for this one, hear the click, and you're good. It may be a little hard or maybe a little easy to slide in and out. It really just depends. All you gotta do is just hold it up, lift it up a little. See how it has a little give to it? Make sure, you know, lift it up a little. It makes it slide a lot easier. Once it gets onto this metal frame, there's a little more friction, so sometimes you gotta, boom, really pull into it before you hear that click. That is perfectly fine. That's the way I like to set up for my back extensions. And from right here, it's super easy to get in and out. I love that it has the handles. You can use it to support yourself. Slide your feet inside of the 2 foot rollers. Again, lower it or raise it. Make sure you hear that click right there. Lock your feet in position, and then boom. And ideally, again, this is ideally, everyone's gonna be a little different. The edge of the hip pad right here should fall right on your hip crease. If it's a little too high, then you're not gonna be able to get that stretch. You're gonna end up just rounding your back. And if it's a little too low, it just might be uncomfortable. If you want to feel it in your glutes and hammies, make sure this edge right here is lined up right here on your hip crease. So for this one, it's just a tad bit too tall for me, so I'm just gonna lower it one more hole. Hear that click? Boom, right there. And now this should be perfect. It's now here in my hip crease. I can go up and down. I tried it out, body weight, works perfectly. I went ahead and tried it with additional weight, works perfectly. Push myself, add a little jolt, everything went perfectly. I love that this is now angled compared to my old back extension machine where it was just flat. I can get an even deeper stretch on this. I roughly weigh, you know, 177 to 178 pounds. I'm not that heavy, but once I start adding weight, holding on to some 45, holding on to some plates, it just adds over 200 pounds of just pure mass on top of my body weight plus the plates. It holds up. Nothing's budging, nothing's breaking, nothing's snapping. Everything is being held together perfectly. I love this machine. It is so much better than the old back extension machine that I have. But the good thing about this, it's not the only exercise that you can do on here. In this setting, as it is, you could also do reverse hypers. That is an exercise I love to do. It is just so uncomfortable to do it on the other machine that I had. The other machine, the padding was just virtually non-existent. So for extra cushioning, I had to roll up a yoga mat, put it on my hips, and then lie on top of it. And then kick my legs back. If I wanted extra resistance, the only way I could go about it was adding a resistance band. But realistically, this is so much better. But thing is, you're gonna have to set it up a little higher, because if I just do it on here, regular back extensions, my feet hit the ground, so there's no way I can get that full range of motion. You see, if I'm just kicking my legs, boom, I'm not getting that stretch. So easy fix, right here. Again, pull the knob. So many different levels of incline you can go. Boom, raise it up. Just make sure you hear that click. Now, if you want to go ahead and do them directly on here, this padding is already enough for you to go ahead and kick your legs back. But if you want even more padding, or you just want a bit extra in height, okay, pull this one. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier when I said that you can remove this roller depending on what exercise you do. All right, all you got to do is move it up here. But if it's a little too far in, you don't have enough room, this piece also, remember what we went over earlier, you can separate it. Boom, now you got some distance. Now you can go ahead and put it, slide it in, hear that click. Now you got a little extra padding. Now if you want to go ahead and do your reverse hyper on here, it's going to feel so much more comfortable. Believe me, you feel it right there. The lower back, the glutes, the hamstrings, perfectly. Normally I did it banded on the other machine, so I was like, you know what if I just do it banded on here? I wish there was some type of band pegs or something to actually tie the band onto. This machine doesn't really have it. Many people can get away with just doing a body weight. That's perfectly fine, but I need a little bit extra resistance. So at first, I just tried tying it across the piece that moves down here. And you know, it's good enough, but it felt a little awkward. But then I saw there's a handle down there. What if I just loop it across that handle and then tie it to my ankles? Much better. So if you're gonna go ahead and do this exercise banded or with resistance, I recommend tying the band and getting the resistance going that way. But again, everyone's a little different. Just do what you believe is more comfortable and best for the type of results that you want. But as far as back extensions and as far as reverse hypers go, Every one of these settings, super comfortable, can definitely get the job done and can definitely be done with resistance, no issues whatsoever. So a great thing about this machine is just, again, the versatility. It's marketed as 4-in-1, 4 exercises in one machine. But with creativity, there are so many more things you can do with this. Just speaking right now, we move the foot roller from down there to up here. It's angled. Okay, what else can we do on here? You can go ahead and jump on here and do some decline sit-ups, core work, beneficial, get a six-pack, get those abs, get those sit-ups in. If this is a little too difficult for you, all right, no big deal. A little bit less of a decline, still challenging, a lot better than just doing them flat on the ground. Again, perfect for those ab work. So that's just one great exercise you can do while it's on incline, while the roller is right here in the front. But there's plenty more exercises you can do while we still have this right here locked up in the front end. I'm talking about hip thrusts, I'm talking about Bulgarian split squats. Now for this one, for almost everyone, regardless of what your height is, you're gonna have to lower it a lot closer to the ground. Again, if you wanna put it all the way down to the ground, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Or if you want just a little bit higher, go ahead and throw this little notch down just to get a slight bit of incline. Either one works. This pad right here, two purposes when it comes to these exercises. One is the piece that you actually support your back on for hip thrusts. Two is where you put your foot on to stabilize when it comes to those Bulgarians. Me personally, hip thrusts, I know very well I need to incorporate more of those into my workout program. This though, perfect. I'm talking about if I were to actually load it up with some weight, put it on my hips, right when I come up with that weight, there's no way this thing is sliding back. It's not even that heavy, but the way it's built, the rubber stoppers right here on the bottom of the legs, they hold it in place. So I can go ahead and load up to 200 pounds on my hips, push back. This thing is not sliding anywhere. So that is perfect. I love that. This will definitely be utilized a lot. Now I'm going to start doing a lot more hip thrusts, whether it be body weight, single leg like this, no big deal, or with an actual barbell on my hip. Regardless, whichever one I do, I already know I'm going to have great benefit out of this. Another thing I can do on this, Bulgarians. I mean, it just molds perfectly to the curvature of your foot and your ankle. If you ever need to adjust it depending on your height, again, just move the knob, get it a little higher, make sure it locks into place. Perfect. For anyone who was ever unsure and you're doing a couple of these, trying to figure out how far you should stand or how close, easy fix. Sit on the edge of the roller, kick one ankle out, wherever your heel lands, whichever leg you're using, that's how far you should be. So if I'm sitting here, boom, ankle right where my heel is, stand up, put my foot, boom. That feels super comfortable for me. Rep it out on one leg, rep it out on the other. Now, usually in the past, I don't do this exercise, just mainly because I don't have anywhere comfortable to put my foot on. Usually what I ended up having to do was put the tip of my toe on a flat bench, but the problem with that is this starts happening. It's not stable. So if I start leaning one way, it can roll on either end. But with this, having a roller dedicated just to this exercise, I don't have to worry about that. Because now it's not actually the tip of my toes that's on the bench. It's actually my ankle, and my foot is draping over this roller. I can do it with weight, but typically when I do my single leg exercises, it's normally walking lunges. I always do it after squats. I always do it after leg press. It's usually just body weight. So here, I'm probably gonna continue to do it body weight, but it just adds variety. Because occasionally you get tired of doing the walking lunges, you get tired of doing the forward lunges, reverse lunges, any type of lunge variation. It gets a little boring some. So at least here, boom, Bulgarian split squats, adding variety, super comfortable, not difficult by any means to actually set it up. While it's still on the ground, what else can you do? Again, the variety, how much versatility you're gonna be able to add to your workout for all the different body parts. Dude, I'm telling you, it's endless. Now we're talking about core work. I'm talking about the abs, I'm talking about the obliques. For these exercises though, you gotta put this pad back on. Remember how we took it out earlier to make room for this to slide up and down? You gotta make sure you slide it back up to put this up. Again, it's not that hard. Pull the lever, slide this back up. Hear that click? Perfect. From right here, let's go back in, pull this lever, boom, and then slide it in there. Sometimes though, you don't do a good job of sliding this forward enough. All right, no big deal. Let's go ahead and just slide it just a tad bit more right there. Again, hearing that click, that's really gonna help out. Now, slide that, boom, perfect. Now, when it comes to your core work, depending on which way you wanna face, that's gonna vary. I prefer putting this back over here on this side, mainly because when it's time to actually lock your feet in a position, I want to be able to put my foot flat up against this metal pad. Again, adjust up and down depending on how big your ankles are. Make sure it's nice and snug. If you want more room, okay, loosen it up one more setting so you actually have room for your feet to move. I like being secured. Whenever I'm doing any type of sit-up or any type of core work on the ground, I always had struggle trying to find something to lock my feet in position. Typically what I had to do in the past, heavy dumbbells, put them on the ground, lock my feet underneath. But then sometimes the dumbbells roll around. This is a great alternative. I'm talking about my feet are not moving anywhere. There's no way I can move. It's helping out. I'm definitely going to be getting a lot of work out of this. I'm definitely going to be seeing a lot of results, specifically in my core strength. I'm talking about any type of variation you want. Forward and back for the sit-ups, any type of twisting for the obliques. It is endless. The amount of things you can do on this just for core, game changer. That's what I really love about this machine. I'm telling you, I cannot stand, and I've said this plenty of times in all my other videos, if you have a home gym, I cannot stand when there's so much floor space being dedicated to one piece of equipment that can only do one exercise. I rather, if I'm going to be using up that much floor space, especially if you're limited on space like I am back here, I want something that has plenty of things that I can do it. I don't know how many of y'all have ever torn a hamstring in the past, but believe me, it hurts. I've torn each hamstring twice. Super tight, not focusing on the eccentric, lack of strength. Hamstring tears are no joke. Nordic curls, with the increasing research in injury prevention and overall knee health, that's the reason why Nordic curls have been blowing up. Do them. Yes, they are difficult, but there's a reason why it's difficult. Because it actually gives you a reason to train, and the harder it is, obviously the more results you're going to get out of it. Eventually, if you get to this point where you can do an entire Nordic curl free from any assistance, oh my god, you're going to have bulletproof hamstrings. So that's definitely something I need to start doing more. I'm tired of tearing hamstrings. It hurts, it's uncomfortable, then I can't squat, I can't deadlift, I can't run, I can't do anything when the hammies are torn in half. But the thing is, I'm not strong enough to even do one body weight. And just setting them up here in the home gym, it's a little inconvenient. What I've normally had to do in the past is just wedge my feet underneath the foot of this squat rack. And even then, there's really only two ways I went about it. Either just body weight, going as slow as I can on the way down until ultimately my hamstrings give up and I have to then push myself back up. Or I do it assisted with a band tied over my head, and then boom, let the band just really take off some of the resistance from the bottom. Help me to get a little lower. And when I say lower, realistically, it's not even that much, because again, I am super weak when it comes to that exercise. Now that I have this machine, there's absolutely no excuse for me not to be able to get stronger. So remember this pad that we were talking about earlier? Make sure we lock it in place. This one though, do definitely make sure it's nice and snug. So slide your feet in, again, push it down, right there, hear that click? Boom, you're standing up, lock out everything, knees, hips, shoulders, everything should be one straight line. Two different ways you can go about it. Lower yourself slow until you can't anymore, catch yourself, push yourself back up. That's realistically going to be the main way that most people go about it. When it comes to doing Nordic curls on this bench, convenience. It is super easy to already have it set up in this position to do the Nordic curls. The pad is super thick, so you don't have to worry about putting an additional mat or something underneath your knees. This right here will definitely keep you snug. I know some people, if it's hard for them to wedge their feet under anything in any gym, they usually have a workout partner holding down their ankles. You do not have to worry about that right here. Nice and flat. Build up your strength over time. But if you're someone who struggles to do it with this flat position, you're not strong enough. The great thing about having all the varying levels of incline that you can put this thing on, now you can just work certain ranges of motion. So the weaker you are, the more upright it's gonna have to be. And the more upright, obviously, you're not gonna be able to move as much, but the very little distance that you do actually move, at least you know it's all under your own control. As you get stronger, as it becomes easier, now you can slowly start letting down a little more so until eventually you get to the point where this pad is completely flat and you're doing a full-on Nordic curl all the way down and then having the strength to come up all the way up with proper form. You get that down, stronger hamstrings, less risk of injury when it comes to sprinting, running, or any general weight training. So overall, you can see there's so many different exercises they can do for so many different muscle groups, but mainly they all come down to the posterior chain. I'm talking about hamstrings, glutes, lower back. That's the engine in the body. If you're working towards any type of strength gains, athletic gains, just overall performance, you can never do too much posterior work. I'm telling you, the variety, endless. But a big thing about having a home gym, yeah, you can do all the exercises in the world, but where are you gonna put the machine? If you're someone who's limited on space, don't worry. This realistically does not take up much room. Whether you leave it already out as it is, like I'm going to, because luckily I do have enough space just to keep it out, perfect. But if you have even less room, there's a way around this. Good thing it's on wheels. Makes it easier to move it around. Pick up the handle. Let's just say, look at that squat rack. Look at the room inside. Pretty narrow. I don't really do anything inside of the rack other than store stuff. That's why there's shelves back there. I squat outside of the rack. I could easily put this in there. The reason why is because you could actually store this vertically. Boom, stand it up right here. I can push it more in if I want. When I squat, I put the bar right here. So all I gotta do is boom, 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 squat up and down. You see, it doesn't take much room. If I ever wanna use it, okay, easy. Let's go ahead, set it down. Whatever you want. It does not take up much room, and that's one of the biggest cheat codes when it comes to having a home gym. Get the most bang for your buck, most amount of exercises being done, limited amount of space being taken up. When it comes to a home gym, that's realistically the two biggest things outside of just budget alone that you really want to be on the lookout for. So would I recommend this machine? Absolutely. Does it get the job done? Yes, hamstrings, glutes, lower back, quads, abs, obliques, anything you can think of for the posterior chain will really be a huge beneficial factor for this machine. Room, good. Quality, built, finish, without a doubt. The Tib Guy, definitely a brand that I would recommend. I'm trying to think of anything negative I can really say about it. There's realistically not much I can really think of. Again, just because it is a huge upgrade just from the machine that I had. Maybe the only negative I could think of is for the decline sit-ups, maybe add an extra foot roller so I could lock my ankles underneath. So just in case if I accidentally extend my leg out, I don't slide back down. That's really the only thing I could really think of. But other than that, I'm trying to think of any negatives, but no, like I said, I put it all through the test, put some heavy weight on there, leaving it outdoors. I can't think of much negatives to say. Maybe the pricing, if some of you can't afford it, but I definitely think it would be worth the investment. Again, the amount of exercises you can do on it, I guarantee any of you home gym, any of you in general, you're probably not doing enough glute and hamstring work. We do so much quad work. Makes sense. It's more visible. It's the bigger muscle. But when it comes to hammies and glutes, you got to ramp it up. So for negatives, man, maybe outside the price, and again, that just comes down to everyone's budget. Can't really think of much. Even the setup was super easy. Moving the box in and out, the one that it came in, it's not that big. Pretty easy. Setup time, less than an hour. Quality. This checks off all the boxes. So again, Tib Guy, huge thank you. Super grateful. Definitely going to be utilizing this. Every leg day I'm going to be using it. Every day I want to use it because I'm going to do something for core at the end of all my workouts. So I'm telling you, Nordic back extension machine V2, definitely worth the investment. That's just coming from my opinion. But for those of you who have had it or maybe used other machines, go ahead and comment down below what your thoughts on it are. Any questions you may have about this that maybe I didn't go over, go ahead, comment down below. I'll respond. I'll answer those questions. I'll test it out. Just let me know what it is that you want to hear or see. Also, comment down below any other video suggestions you'd like to see me do, whether it be about mindset, motivation, nutrition, diets, workouts, programs, whatever it is, comment down below. I'd be more than happy to help y'all out. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you miss out on any new videos. Because remember, new videos on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So don't miss out. And on Instagram and TikTok, same thing. Be sure to follow me on both accounts. I put all my links down in the description below. With that being said, I'll catch y'all next time.